of course. Of all the days that I chose to shoot this video, it just had to be the one rainy day we get in San Diego each year. Anyway, despite the doom and gloom, huge thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Hey everyone, my name is Scott. You're standing with me here in Terminal 2 East at the San Diego International Airport, and gosh dang it, I wish that I could say that I told you so. I was so sure that I would be avoiding the 737 MAX like the plague, and that it would be one of the biggest failures in aviation history, but here I am feeling really excited to be flying on the Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 just 3 short days after entering service. Was it really safe to assume that everyone would be avoiding the MAX once it returned to service? Knowing how quickly I've changed my mind about it, probably not. Then again, it's awfully quiet in here this morning, and it wasn't hard to think that maybe most people were still at home waiting for that goofy SANspotter dork to test it out first. Fair enough, this wouldn't be the first time that I've risked my life for some views. One of the best ways for me to take my mind off the fact that I'm foolishly risking my life for my YouTube channel is to drown myself in online streaming services such as Netflix. More specifically, drowning myself in really cool content that isn't even available in the US. Why is it that all the good content isn't available here? Anyway, all of this is made possible by using Surfshark. And even though you've probably heard me say it before, I'll say it again. Surfshark is the only VPN service that I use. It has served me well for over 2 years now, protecting all of my data whenever I'm on public Wi-Fi, and keeping me thoroughly entertained at home and on the road. With Surfshark, I can virtually change my location to anywhere else in the world by simply choosing from a list of servers from a wide variety of countries. Once connected, every website or app that I use thinks that I'm in that country that I selected. In today's case, I hopped to the United Arab Emirates and the Philippines just to see what was on. In the end, I went to Japan to watch Godzilla. Yeah, the original one from 1954. Anyway, getting access to Surfshark and all of its incredible location-changing and ultra-secure privacy features is easier and far cheaper than you might think. Simply click on the link in the description below, use the promo code SCOTT during the checkout process, and you can get Surfshark for 83% off what everyone else would pay. And if that wasn't good enough, they are adding on 3 months to every order for free. Look, I wouldn't be talking about Surfshark if I didn't like it so much. For the amount of protection it provides, along with giving you the ability to view content on streaming services that aren't even available in your home country, it's a no-brainer. For those of you who are not familiar with what it's like to fly out of Terminal 2 East here in San Diego, you're not missing much. It's a weird mix of old and new, and the puke-colored walls... Okay, I'm doing a terrible job representing my home airport here. Let's try this again. Isn't it amazing how well the San Diego Airport Authority has kept this old 1960s terminal up to date with modern textures and high-tech amenities? Come to San Diego. You'll love it. This being my second ever 737 MAX flight, I'm far more calm and collected this time. Bring it. Speaking of bringing it, it turns out that I had to bring my boarding pass to the scanner. They refused to bring it to me. Boarding initiated right on time, and yeah, I was actually really excited to see what the all-new Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 was all about. Those of you who have been lucky enough to fly on a Hawaiian Airlines A321 recently will immediately recognize these seats. These are nearly identical to what they offer on their 5-hour flights out to the islands and back, so I'm assuming that they'll be perfectly sufficient for a 2.5-hour flight up to Seattle. And before you start complaining about how crappy they look, just take a moment to remember what the old Alaska Airlines first-class seats were like. In my opinion, this is a huge and very welcome upgrade. Hold on, safety first, because, well, you just never know. And on that morbid thought, welcome to Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 First Class. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I remember from my Hawaiian Airlines A321 First Class experience being like, except for the seat color, and the floral shirts, and the tropical music, and the Mai Tais. This sucks. Actually, no, this doesn't suck. At least not as much as you think that I think it does. Or something like that. I actually like this quite a bit. It's clean, roomy, and so much better than what Alaska Airlines First Class used to be. And yeah, there are power outlets at every seat, as I'm so ungracefully demonstrating here. As I dig the seatbelt out of my ass, it's a really good time to tell you that I always find Alaska Airlines First Class to be a really good value. I've never once had a bad experience with this airline, and quite frankly, I just wish they had more coverage within the United States. I'd fly them everywhere if that was the case. The good thing about picking the worst day possible to make a video about a flight leaving San Diego is that the weather is bad enough for runway 9 to be in use. Yep, as soon as we get just a little bit of wind and rain here in San Diego, they flip the airport around and everything flows to the east. It's a very rare occurrence, and I'm about to show you exactly what it's like. Speed this up for the majority of people who don't like sitting through takeoff footage, but for those of you who'd strangle me for not giving you the option to watch the entire thing in real time, there's a link for that in the description below. Fun fact, I don't normally feel motion sickness while flying, but the departure out of San Diego this morning was rough. It was bumpy as heck, and I couldn't see the horizon for the first 5 minutes, and However, if you look closely at the window, you'll notice fresh evidence of a GoPro suction cup mount. Apparently, I was not the first airplane nerd to sit in this seat.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, the captain asked us to be seated as well as all passengers. We need you to do your seats and your seatbelts fastened. Thank you.
Never in all my years of flying have I seen clouds this gnarly on departure from San Diego. It was very summer afternoon in Florida-like, which was really trippy to see. Of course, with my short attention span, it wasn't long until I shifted my thoughts towards the in-flight service. I don't want to get my hopes up, but I could really go for some lobster thermidor right about now. For those of you who are curious, Alaska Airlines Onboard Entertainment comes in the form of a streaming content service. It may not be all that secure, but I promise you that it's entertaining. The only problem I had with it was trying to find something sophisticated enough to pair it appropriately with a lobster main course. It wasn't easy. You want to know what's really disappointing? Having a craving for lobster, but ending up with a prepackaged fruit and cheese platter. Oh well. Longtime viewers should be very familiar with the sight of cheese in my videos by now. This wasn't the end of the world for me. And as far as prepackaged fruit and cheese platters go, nobody does it better than Alaska Airlines. It'd be nice to see them try the lobster thing, though. I bet they could totally nail that. Remember in my last video where I made some comments about how annoying pretzel dust can be when having to deal with face masks? Well, that ain't nothing compared to stinky cheese slime and sticky grape juice. I felt like I needed a shower after this. I dedicate this view to Neil from the Moment in the Sky YouTube channel. He's currently under lockdown in the UK, and I can't wait until he can get back in the air again and continue where he left off before everything got shut down. Meanwhile, this Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 first class experience has been really nice so far. No, these are not super luxurious seats or anything, but they are perfectly fine for medium-range routes such as this. Just as I expected they would be. It's not very often that I'll get up to use the lavatory on flights under 3 hours, but the cheese slime and grape juice made this a necessity. Other than that, there's really not much else to say about this. It is kind of neat that these lavatories are very 787-like, though, so that's cool. I may not have gotten fresh lobster on this flight, but they did give us freshly baked cookies. The only problem was I supposed to eat the cookie or continue gathering B-roll for the video? The solution to that problem, of course, was to capture B-roll first and then eat the cookie, which worked out very well since we were descending into Seattle just as I took my last bite. And now, back to the B-roll. If you've never flown into Seattle before, my advice is to sit on the left-hand side of the aircraft. You're likely to get a much better view of the city on the way in, and trust me, there is a lot of really neat stuff to see. For what it's worth, I could totally see myself living here if it wasn't for all the rain during the winter months. Seattle is easily one of my favorite cities in the entire U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Seattle, where the local time is... Actually, I don't know. But what I do know is that I'm very impressed with how Alaska Airlines has configured their first-class cabin on the 737 MAX 9. It's spacious, bright, and, combined with the typically great Alaska Airlines cabin crews, extremely competitive against what the other U.S. airlines are offering. I just kind of wish they would offer a premium lie-flat business class product like JetBlue does. As I congratulate myself for surviving yet another 737 MAX flight, I'd also like to take a moment to give a shout out to all of my amazing patrons. I cannot keep producing this content without them, and they all deserve a hearty round of applause for being so generous. To David Kelly, Simon from DrumAmbition.com, Aaron Slater, Riley Wingo, Joshua Bedel, and everyone else, I feel honored to have you as supporting patrons. Thank you. This is it for my 737 MAX adventures for a while, but not to worry. I've got lots of other fun flight videos coming soon, so I hope you'll stick around for those. Until then, thanks for watching, and you know what? I'm not even mad about the lobster thing anymore. I just wanted to make that clear before this video ends. Thanks.